Good afternoon and welcome to the, I don't have my agenda to tell me what meeting number this is.
2074.
The June 26th, 2025 meeting of the Baltimore City Planning Commission, meeting number 2074.
74.
Someone someday will tell me when meeting number one was. Good afternoon, I'm John Larry, I'm Chair of the Commission. Next to me is Chris Ryer, our Planning Director and Executive Secretary. Mr. Executive Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Robin Allen may be on virtually.
Let me check. She is not.
The Honorable John Bullock.
Present.
Christine Griffin, not present. Talib Horn.
Present.
Claudia Jolin.
Present.
Douglas McCoach.
Present.
Justin Williams.
Present.
Eric Stevenson is not present today, and John Laria.
Present. We have a quorum, so we'll proceed. Let me begin by announcing there are two items that are being deferred from today's agenda. They are item number 6, which is Council Bill 250071. It's a conditional use conversion of single-family dwelling unit to 2 dwelling units in the R8 zoning district, and variances as well. That's 15 East West Street. So if you're here for that item, we will not be hearing it today, and don't want to waste your time having you sit here until that point. The other one, similarly deferred, is a number 9, the amendment to the North Harbor Area of Special Signage Control, ASSC, additional billboard. That item is also being deferred to a later date. It'll be noticed and posted in the usual fashion when those are both rescheduled. So if you're here for either of those, you're welcome to stay for anything else you'd like to listen to, but we will not be hearing those two items today. With that, I will turn to the approval of minutes. Commissioners, we have minutes to approve from our prior meeting. May I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. We'll turn now to our consent agenda. On the consent agenda are 2 items. The CIP transfers, nothing remarkable there. The commissioners have seen them. So I'll just take a motion to approve the CIP transfers, please.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor, aye. Aye. Fine, the CIP transfers are approved. The next item I'll call to the Commissioner's attention in particular, the Planning Commission schedule adoption through June of 2026. As has been, as I think the Commission knows, every 6 months, we sort of add another 6 months onto the schedule. So if you look at that schedule, which is posted on your site, through 2025 are dates we should all be familiar with already. Mr. Tisa, none of them have changed, correct? And then there are dates for January through June of 2026. I don't know if anybody here knows any reason that any of those would be a problem. I would ask you, we'll adopt this today because it's likely to be the schedule, but although I will ask you now, if you've read in advance, if it's a significant issue. Obviously, if it's one person, we'll proceed regardless. But if we've missed some major conflict, we'd probably like to know now. We can change it, and we have time to change it going forward in the future. But let me just ask the commissioners, have you looked at those dates, and is there anything we should be aware of right now today? Okay.
Yeah, but the one flag, I don't think we know the schedule, like the opening day. Or Elizabeth Day is always a thing. But
I usually check that. Do you know the date?
I don't think we know it yet. I don't think we'll know it until schedule.
We can always move
The other question I had, not that I want to rock the boat, we can discuss it at length, is that have we always done in the meetings on the Thursday at 1 just because inertia, or is there other rationale? I don't want to rock the boat now, but something to think about.
Can I?
Mr. Tissot, Mr. Director, go ahead, please.
Yeah. So we did look at that prior to COVID. And I can tell you the research essentially, we looked at changing the starting time to later to enable people to be here easier. We looked specifically at 5 o'clock. The way it worked out for the public was we had the parking authority do a survey, and north of Baltimore Street, the street parking was free after 6 o'clock. So people would only have to pay for an hour. We felt that first hour is pretty routine business and might not attract the public. So there was an advantage in terms of participation for changing it to a later time. Because of COVID and the conversion to hybrid, we didn't follow up with that, but we did look at that. And that wasn't very popular with the staff, and it wasn't very popular with the commission either at the time.
Yeah, I can add a little color to that as well, because the Board of Municipal and Zoning Appeals actually, by action of council, were ordered to have like every third meeting a 5 p.m. agenda, and it was very unpopular both with applicants as well as with the public, and people would actually postpone their cases and nobody would object to it. So that was stopped, and then as a practical matter, this building's front doors close at 6 p.m. So having to pay the security to stay the extra hour was a functional obstacle. So for all those reasons, we've kept it where it is. We also did try having a planned end time around 5 o'clock and varied our start times. And the commission really did not care for that because it was a different start time every time. So I think we've made a yeoman's effort of trying to get equity of access, but just it seems to be 1 o'clock is the most popular and effective.
Yeah, I guess also the question was Thursday, which I don't have strong feelings about, just thinking if there's, I'm not thinking about the council hearing schedule, just if it's going to be a conflict and we can't change the council schedule, maybe it's worth changing. But things like that.
Let me make this suggestion. I think it's good to raise it. We're going to have a new planning director sometime in the next 6 months, I assume. That person may have.
That's up to you, right?
Well, we'll see how it goes, but that person may have views about this and many other things that are administrative and organizational. So I just think rather than, thank you for raising it because it's a totally reasonable question. And the mitigating factor for me a little bit is that we do seem to be managing our virtual participation well. I'm not aware, and perhaps you are, of times where someone has said, I just cannot participate at all because I don't have access. But most people now, laptop, phone, whatever it might be, seem to be able to participate. So I'm happy to discuss any alternative options. I just think we should wait and see if someone coming in has a strong feeling about how they might do that. Okay. So we're going to do a motion to approve this. Is that what we're going to do for now? And then we can always subject to potential change. Is there a motion to approve the proposed schedule, which was posted on your site's memo dated June 26th, 2025? Motion to approve.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Further discussion before I call for a vote. Okay, all those in favor, aye, for this consent agenda item? Aye. Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay.
First item.
Yes, please. First item. Thank you.
First item on the regular agenda is City Council Bill number 25-0063 for the zoning administrator transfer to the Department of Planning. Caitlin Altet will present.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. So I have today, hopefully, a brief item. The request is City Council Bill 25-0062 to transfer the zoning administrator to the Department of Planning. Eric Teese and myself are the staff, and this was introduced by Council Vice President Green Middleton and Council President Cohen, Council members Dorsey, Conway, Torrance, Gray, Bullock, Blanchard, and Ramos, and this is citywide. This bill moves the zoning administrator to Department of Planning from the Department of Housing and Community Development. This is done with several changes to several articles of City Code. Legislative reference also made minor changes to the relevant articles as needed. So you're going to see some that look really straightforward and others that might look a little bit more complicated. And that's really just to kind of clean things up after noticing that maybe they weren't done appropriately in the past. So the first item here is to remove the zoning commissioner from the Article 13, Housing and Urban Renewal. So you can see everything in brackets is removed and everything in capitals is added. So here it's just removing that. The next element would be to add this portion here. So Again, this is kind of cleaning up something that wasn't done back in 1975, and it includes vesting the department with certain powers under their general powers within, again, Article 13 of Housing and Urban Renewal. Continuing in Article 13 and powers, this is about the building and inspection and the authority therein. Again, this is something that was approved back in 1968, but apparently never integrated fully. So this is just kind of cleaning that up. Similarly, this is about the duty and authority of the housing commissioner, and it lists those out. Sorry, next. And now getting to more of the meat of this is a change to planning. So this is under Article 32 zoning, where it changes Department of Housing to planning and adding, again, the ordinance approved in here, it's 1931. So just a missing element. For equity, this will have limited impact to city residents. In the short term, there might be some limited confusion, but zoning staff will maintain a presence on the first floor and the staff will remain the same. So in the long term, the shift of the zoning office to the planning department will streamline development review and positively impact city residents. The proposed action was shared via email to the 17,300 recipients of GovDelivery, and we recommend approval. Any questions?
There may be questions. I just want to ask you a few more administrative questions below the level of the bill in terms of its impact on the department. So this may be a question for the director as you see fit. Do we know how many employees are coming from the? I'll just get these questions out. How many employees are coming? Where are they going to be? Just what administrative sort of accommodations, if any, have needed to be made? You don't have to go into excruciating detail. I'm just trying to get a sense of what will happen in the reorganization.
Sure.
Please.
There are 6 staff total, including the zoning administrator. 1 slot is empty to be filled. I can't remember the grades of them, but there is sort of a deputy zoning administrator also. They are all chained to desktops. So we have set up we have an area set up in the back that's slightly partitioned off, I guess I should say, that fits them as a staff of 6. So they will move into there this Friday afternoon. And then we will do a couple of things. One is we will begin the process of converting all their desktops to laptops so that they will have a hybrid option. We will do some joint planning with the empty slot because they're both sort of front desk, more clerical type positions. So we think we can maybe split the front desk job, and we can each get some extra help that way. Next Monday, the last day of the month, there's a big lunch party where we will have everybody required to come in and to welcome the zoning administrator. So that's essentially the.
Right. The zoning administrator will report to the director of planning. Is that the reporting
Yes.
in terms of org chart?
Yes, in terms of org chart, it will be a separate, distinct division. Zoning administrator will be a division chief, like Eric Holcomb is a division chief. And it will be a separate service it'll be a new service in the planning department budget.
Okay, other questions from the commission for Ms. Audette, for the director?
Yeah, let me just add one thing, just so you all know. I mean, this is pretty common across the country for a planning and zoning office to be combined. I think Eric Tiso explained it best to me when he said, "We write the code, they interpret the code. Why aren't we in the same office?" So we're really hoping that we can support this team who have had no support really, except for emails and phone calls that we interact with now. So I'm hoping that this will be more transparent to the public, but also that the zoning administrator will feel more supported and that we will get better feedback from them as we update the code on a regular basis.
Something to put a pin in, and here, Councilman, maybe I'll mention it to you, I don't know, or the deputy mayor. I mean, it would not be unusual to have a Department of Planning and Zoning. Most jurisdictions have a department named Department of Planning and Zoning. So for additional transparency, et cetera, it might make sense one day to consider changing it. I wouldn't want to like overcomplicate it. It's obviously, it's a charter change and so on, but just something that struck me when I was looking at it to at least think about. I'm not sure if the juice is worth the squeeze, so to speak, but it's pretty common to have that sort of, structure.
Change the letterhead, but yeah.
Have to change it, yes, that's right. Okay, so further discussion or questions on the subject of any type? I think this is an excellent change that will, thank you, Councilman, for supporting it and for integrating these two really important functions under the same roof. Makes a lot of sense.
I'll push back even for, I think, Caitlin's staff report, but I think that will be impactful, at least for, as a former practitioner, because there were times when you'd meet with planning staff and they'd say, well, we're not sure how they interpret it. This kind of things would delay and they may not always be aligned eye to eye. So just one area where it can just be aligned on interpretation issues, and then also having more staff capacity to help fill in on front desk duty and answering the phone and can be able to speak about what's happening.
Well, thanks. Okay, so is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation to approve?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, we'll have a roll call vote on this bill.
Thank you. John Bullock,
Approved.
Talib Horn,
Approved.
Claudio Julin,
Approve.
Doug McCoach.
Approved.
Justin Williams.
Approved.
and John Laria.
Approve. Thank you. Okay, next item, please.
Next item on the agenda is City Council Bill Number 25-0072, a zoning conditional use conversion of a single-family dwelling unit to two dwelling units in the R8 zoning district at 1703 and 1709 Edmondson Avenue in the 9th Councilmatic District. Justin Walker will present.
Good afternoon, everyone. Justin Walker, DOP, here on Council Bill 2572. And this is for two properties, both currently single-family row house dwellings on the same block, 1703 and 1709 Edmondson Avenue. The request is to convert them from single-family into two dwelling units each. This is in the West Planning District, and Treek Bolden is the community planner. Just a quick orientation video over on the west side of the city in the Harlem Park neighborhood. Zoom into the block there. Then we'll take a quick look at the street view. I'll notice there has been some work done on the neighboring houses. You can see that more clearly on your on the posting images, but that house on the very end has been has had some rehab done. It's the second one from the end there is 03, the foam stone, and then the red brick, which is mostly just the facade, is 09.
Yes, that's Sky.
Yes, there's. We can actually go to the satellite view here where you can see that missing roof on 09. But again, these are two vacants in between otherwise occupied units on the rest of the row. Both measuring about 16 by 98 feet. Both of the lots are identical. So there's another look at the street view. Again, boarded up, need significant rehabs. So on the analysis, we are here today only on the conditional use conversion. As we know, City Council Bill 006 struck the parking requirement and the conversion standards. As far as the minimum lot area, that is satisfied. 1,500 is required in the R8. 1568 is contained. I will mention a slight oversight here regarding the off-street parking. In the staff report, the bill was drafted before 006 took effect, so Section 2 includes a parking variance. The amendment to remove that was not included in the report, but that should be struck from the bill as it's no longer required. So again, on the conditional use standards, which is the only findings that need to be made, made. Staff does not find any reason why the establishment, location, construction, maintenance, or operation of the building would be more impactful at this site than in any other area in an R8 district. It is directly across the street from another larger multifamily structure of about 90 units. It's also included in the West Baltimore MARC TOD plan, which does advocate for increasing density nearby to that transit station. And we don't find any reason why this would be detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare of the community. As far as the equity, as I mentioned, it does align with the area master plan and increases density near a bus and rail hub at the MARC, West Baltimore MARC. And it'll do this without changing the character of the neighborhood, as the structures will be preserved in their appearance. And they did receive a letter of support from the Harlem Park Neighborhood Council for both of these properties. So the recommendation is to adopt findings and approve with the amendment to strike Section 2 for the parking variance. I'll take any questions there may be.
Is the applicant here? Okay, is there anybody else here who wishes to be heard on this item other than the applicant? Seeing none, okay, just hang on one sec, sir, thank you, we'll have you come up. Are there any questions for the staff regarding the staff report at this point? So just so I understand it, it's the staff report with an additional amendment to strike Section 2 of the bill?
Of the bill, yes, which
Okay.
is the parking variance.
Okay, got it. All right, would the applicant like to come forward, sir? If you just say your name for the record.
Nathan Gorham?
Thank you.
Yes.
Just tell us a little bit about, the backstory here, the two houses without roofs or walls.
Right.
In a block that is otherwise, looks like fully occupied, is that correct?
That's correct. So I purchased the property in 2018 through the city's vacant to value program. And when I initially purchased the property, I was pursuing financing, and lenders told me that they wouldn't lend money in that zip code. So I pursued lots of different sources of financing, hard money, all said no. And I began probably in 2021 reaching out to Baltimore Community Lending as a financing source. They decided that they would help me along the way. So I've been working through the financing process with Baltimore Community Lending, and I was finally approved for funding March 3rd or March 7th of this year. So it's been a long process. And yeah, so I did get a permit for the property, and I was not aware until I actually applied for the permit to rehab the properties. They were, in 1931, they were 2-unit properties. In 1969, I believe, someone pulled a permit to convert it over into a single-family dwelling. And due to the regulations with zoning, I was not able to get a permit to convert those back to the original use, which was 2-family. So that's what set me on this process here. And the financing, of course, is already in place. I've already, invested quite a bit. I've gotten permits for it. I've already started construction on the work as a single-family dwelling in hopes that this process would complete itself before I needed to do like rough ends and things like that. And so that's the background.
Well, I think everybody appreciates your perseverance.
It's been a while.
Yeah. Would the pending zoning legislation alleviate the need for a conditional use in this instance? I'm just trying to recollect how it, Mr. Tiso?
No, the coming zoning bills are a stepping stone to possibly moving in that direction. But the conditional use conversion will still be there. One of the bills in the package, I think, will strike it completely in all of its references. And then we'll also create a multifamily low-density use that will be up to 4 units to replace it, but will be an allowable use.
No, so what I was asking was, are the pending bills?
Oh,
With the
yes.
pending bills?
Yes,
Yeah, no, I
not this
understand.
one.
Yeah, no, I got it. Thank you very much. Did you, I'm just curious, any other city assistance in the form of tax credits or any sort of, you mentioned acquiring through vacancy value, and then BCL did the financing.
Correct.
Are you eligible?
I've been focused on just trying to get the financing in place, and I know, pursuing some of the potential grant funds or what have you is a pretty administratively intense process that I wasn't really prepared to move forward with.
Have you, are these the first two houses you're renovating in this way, or have you done other projects, other houses in the city?
No, 1701, which is the house at the corner, I renovated that property. 1707 Edmondson, which is a house kind of adjacent to, or the house adjacent to 1709. I've renovated and rehabbed that property, and both of them have really great tenants in them.
So you're owning them and they're rentals?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. Well, are there other questions from the commission for the applicant? Councilman Bullock, your district?
Yes, I'm just thankful for the investment and thank you for the presentation as well. So good work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. But there's nobody else who wishes to be heard? Okay, so I'll accept a motion to adopt the findings and approve with the additional amendment presented by the staff orally to strike section 2 of the bill because it's unnecessary for the purpose under the current recently passed legislation. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Once again, any further discussion? If not, we'll have a roll call vote.
Certainly. John Bullock.
Approved.
Talib Horn.
Approve.
Claudia Jelin.
Approve.
Doug McCoach.
Approved.
Justin Williams. John Lario.
Approve. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you all.
All right.
Investment.
Should look into that.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Next item, Mr. Executive Secretary.
Next item on the agenda is major subdivision final plans for 3603 Gwynns Falls Parkway in the 7th Councilmatic District. Antoine Heath will present.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. As was just stated, Antoine Heath, before us is the major subdivision for 3603 Gwynns Falls Parkway. The petitioner is Raymond Nelson, and the owner of the property is Nelson and Baldwin Enterprise, LLC. It's in the West Planning District, and the community planner is Tariq Bolden. The subject property is located in the neighborhood of Mount Holly, about a quarter mile north of Kip Baltimore Middle School and Walbrook Junction Shopping Center. This is a closer look at the site in context with the overall neighborhood, which is predominantly single-family residences. The site consists of, go back one. The site consists of two vacant lots on less than half an acre, and the properties in the vicinity are all improved with single-family dwellings. This is a view of the currently vacant site from the intersection of Gwynns Falls Parkway and Allendale Road. And this is the view from the opposite side of the property from Allendale Road. Okay. This is a look at the existing conditions plan, which shows the current configuration of the two existing lots. This is the final subdivision plan showing the 4 new lots. Okay. This is a look at the development plan, which shows the 4 building footprints that will be accessed from Allendale Road. I noted in the staff report that there is an error or mismatch in the development plan that will need to be updated, and that is the labels indicating that there will be garages. There will be no garages in these dwellings. Because the garages are being removed, staff is proposing an amendment that the driveways be shifted to go alongside of the homes to avoid any zoning violations regarding having a car parked in the front yard setback, and the applicant has agreed to that. Looks like I'm running out of batteries here. There we go.
So is that providing off-street parking, or just, what are we doing with those driveways?
Originally, the plan was to have garages in the property,
Right.
but over the course of the process, the applicant decided to remove the garages. And because of that shift, it creates a situation where the cars that would pull into the driveway would now be parked in the front yard setback. And so, which would create some issues with our zoning regulations. And so,
But what I'm getting at, and I know this is maybe a bit ahead, but there's a concern raised, an objection raised by a community member regarding off-street parking. And I guess I'm asking whether this revised site plan is effectively providing off-street parking for.
oh,
So I can step in. So one of the collisions of rules that we're looking at here also has to do with the curb cut policy that normally wants to have a net gain in off-street parking for the curb length that is removed. So in the prior plan where there were garages proposed, you would have one in, one on the driveway. So if the garage goes away, you only have the space, it's like 25 feet at most in the front yard. That creates both a front yard setback problem and a net gain problem. So by shifting it a bit, it should solve all of that. And in fact, better complies with the design manual because we are also moving away from a garage front, which is the not preferred design. So we think this is the best way to thread the needle, and the applicant was accepting of that.
Or we can come back to that in a bit, but thank you for the basics. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I apologize.
no, okay. This is the proposed front elevations. So the four dwellings are contained in two structures. Each structure has a hip roof with gable roof bump outs on the detached side of each home, and the bump outs create the opportunity for our front doors to be set back on covered porches, and each front door is separated by party walls. And the material palette will be gray siding with white trim and dark asphalt roofs. And this is a look at the side and rear elevations. Okay, the Falls North Homeowners Association and the Mount Holly Community Development Corporation were notified of this application, and all posting requirements were met. We did receive one letter of opposition from Marita Goodman, which is uploaded to the web, that we can discuss if you have any questions. And this will conclude staff's presentation, and we're recommending approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me just take stock of who's here to be heard. Are you the applicant? Yes. Sir, is there anybody else here who wishes to be heard? Is Ms. Goodman or someone here to stand behind that letter of objection, either here or online?
Did you notice the letter thought there were 8 units?
Yeah, we'll get to it. Yeah, thanks. Okay, that's fine. So first of all, questions of staff based upon the presentation? Yes, sir.
My only question is, in the process of widening those driveways, the space between them, does that allow for 2 parked vehicles to fit between the pairs of driveways?
I'm sorry.
You would think that would be,
Go back to the dimensions.
so when you go to the plan with the yellow stripes, very nicely laid out, between those 2 yellow stripes, is it possible along the street to park 2 cars so that we're not inefficiently using the on-street parking that's been provided already?
So there would be space to park between the 2 attached dwellings, but the gap in between that separates the 2, there wouldn't be space there for 1 car. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, wouldn't that be a reasonable thing to do, to spread them a little bit farther apart so that you could park 2 cars on the street?
I think he's saying you can park, let me see if it's right. You can park 2 cars on the street in front of the dwellings, just not between, obviously, the very tight 2 middle yellow bars,
Yeah.
Yes.
right?
Okay.
Is that,
All right.
am I missing?
Well, I just want to make sure that we get in front of the gray blocks, which are each residences. I'd like to have a space for 1 car. And I can't tell that based on the drawing.
Yeah, that's
So,
definitely more
yes
than enough.
works for me. Okay.
Yeah, just using a finger scale with a 25-foot setback, it's more than that.
Okay.
So as a practical matter, you may be able to get 2 small cars or 1 battleship, whichever the case may be. So it's advantageous, I think, to go to this.
Okay. Are there other questions for the staff before we ask the applicant to come up? Sir, please. Be helpful if you introduce yourself, maybe just give a little bit of background about your intentions here and your plan and perhaps any experience you've had doing this kind of development.
Okay, my name is Raymond Nelson. Good afternoon to everyone. I have quite
I'm sorry,
extensive portfolio.
do you need a spelling? I've forgotten to ask.
I'm sorry.
R-A-Y.
It's okay.
You want me to spell it? R-A-Y-M-O-N-D-N-E-L-S-O-N.
Thank you, sir. Sorry.
All right. My process started in 1999 when I purchased 153133 Pennsylvania Avenue. That was formerly known as Shoppers Lounge. Now it's Capitol Lounge. That's still operating and functioning to the day. Then I acquired some properties through Baltimore City, which was 1525 and 1529. 1529 is now in addition to 1531, that's 1531 Pennsylvania Avenue, that was previously 1531-33, and I purchased the adjacent lot that's all 1531 Pennsylvania Avenue. That's developed and still fully functioning. 1523 Pennsylvania Avenue, I purchased that from Mr. Nicholson, that was Nicholson Cleaners. That's developed right now and operating as a convenience store and a barbershop. That's still functioning and operating. Then 1525 has been developed as well. Now I sold that. That's a drugstore now. So every property that I purchased from Baltimore City, I had developed. I can go a little further with 710 Dolphin, 739 Dolphin, 746 Dolphin, and 1136 Myrtle Avenue, which was completed and sold. 710 completed and sold. 739, 746 completed and sold. And all these properties was in the same vicinity of 21217. My recent acquirement from Baltimore City was 539 Sanford Place, affordable housing, completed and is rented. And the last one was Rosedale, 1404 North Rosedale, completed and rented, and it's affordable housing.
Okay. Let's talk about this.
All right. This particular property here, actually I stumbled across it, by me developing Baltimore City. I saw it sitting there for so long, and it was, the blight, the trees and shrubs, everything was growing all over the place, and it seemed like a hazard to the kids because of the conditions that it was in. So I inquired about it. I purchased it from Miss Ruby Shaw, and that was over a year ago. So I just been working on the plans, trying to come up with a good plan to developing the property. So I actually walked around the property, and I spoke to the head of the community, and she was in agreement with what we were set out to do. So I didn't know that, it would be a letter of opposition. Maybe it could have been she forgot, because it's been a little while now.
Sir, is that the same woman who's written to us, Marita Goodman?
Yes, well, had to be that she's the only person that was the
President
head of the community.
yeah.
Head of the community. And I spoke with her candidly, and she said, okay, fine. Just inform her of what my intentions was, and I did that.
It's possible it's different because there's the Mount Holly Association.
And Mount Holly is involved, exactly.
But maybe the woman,
Mm-hmm.
the letter writer is a different person that you spoke to.
Okay.
It's also Marita misinterpreted. She thinks there are 8 units, not 4.
Okay. Sorry, anything else you wanted to add to?
In reference to the parking, whatever needs to be done, the 15 feet on the side, I thought would be sufficient enough because it's 15 feet on each side of each dwelling. Yep. So that's more than enough parking for a vehicle to, park along the sides of the home. And I've been working closely with Rachel and Mr. Heath the whole time. So everything's, moving along pretty good. And in the future, I don't want this to interrupt what I'm doing, but the last bit of property, I'm going to come back to planning, and turn that into off-street parking.
We'll address that in due course.
All right.
Okay. All right. Are there questions for the applicant? Anyone?
Do you serve as a builder too, or do you have a?
Yes, I have an MHIC license, yes.
Thanks.
Thank you. Let's turn to the letter of email of opposition, which we've sort of alluded to a few times. There are two, you've seen this, I know the commission has been posted, but so everybody knows what we're talking about. It's a letter from, an email from Marita Goodman, Executive Director, Geo Northwest Housing Resource Center. Concerns, one, no off-street parking included in the design. Explains potential for conflicts because of parking in the neighborhood, et cetera. Majority of the homes, she says, have off-street parking. And also an increase in density. She says the addition of 8 more homes in a space that originally had at most 4 would increase the density on a small, narrow street. I think the director has pointed out that, and I think the plans indicate this is 4 homes, not 8.
Correct.
2 semi-detached, or 4 semi-detached homes. So we don't have Ms. Goodman here to tell us whether 4 is better than 8, but presumably it's not 8, it's 4. And also, we've covered the off-street parking piece as well as potential on-street parking. So she's not here for us to ask any questions or to clarify, but I just wanted for the record to outline what her concerns were. Certainly the commissioners can speak to those in their comments if they have any. Are there any other questions or none for the applicant? Any other questions or comments anybody wants to make regarding the email of opposition? Okay. All right. Well, I just have one process question, if you don't mind. No SPRC review is required because, I should know this, but I'm just wondering, the staff report says.
This would be a staff level review. It's a fairly simple and straightforward project, so
Okay.
it didn't necessarily require the full committee.
Okay, good. Thank you. Just to get that clear. All right. Well, is there a motion from a member of the commission? This is, again, approval of subdivision development plans.
Motion to approve?
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion on the motion? If not, we'll take a roll call vote.
John Bullock.
Approved.
Philippe Horn.
Approved.
Claudia Jolin.
Approve.
Doug McCoach.
Approve.
Justin Williams.
Approved.
John Lario.
Approved. Thank you. Congratulations, sir, and thanks for your continued investment. We appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, we'll move to the next item, please.
The next and final item is a minor change in final design approval.
We can't until 2 PM, I believe.
We're out of time.
We are.
Oh, can we, is that right? Do we have is it posted for a later time?
Oh, it's 2 o'clock.
Look at us.
Well then. Do I get any credit for this?
What was the one we were here for till 7?
Okay, so we're in a pause? Yeah, okay, so we'll commission will be in recess till 2 o'clock and we'll take up the remaining item.
We should probably be good by the time Ivor gets back to his station.
Okay, so, we're good.
Microphone.
Reconvening the meeting of the Planning Commission, it's now after. Reconvening the meeting of the Planning Commission, it is now after 2 PM. We'll move to the agenda items posted after 2 PM, which is the last item on the agenda, Mr. Executive Secretary.
Last item on the agenda is a minor change in final design approval for Belvedere Square PUD at 550 East Belvedere Avenue with the Iona Electric Charging Station, 4th Councilmanic District. Eric Tiso Wilson.
Good afternoon, members of the commission. This is a minor change final design approval. And I'd like to share my thanks to Brandon Canoy, who actually did all of the work. I'm just the one standing here presenting it, but he is on vacation at the moment. So this is a proposal for changing what is now regular parking spaces into an EV charging station. So this is what it would look like in plan view. It would improve some of the pedestrian markings along the way. And in the top right corner, there would be a new transformer that would be put in behind what is the outpatient medical office that will feed this. So looking at the site from above, you can see in green the north and south sheds of Belvedere Square. That white roof building to the right edge of the red square is the immediate Medcare. So that those little parking spaces in between those two buildings are what's going to be upgraded today. So looking at it towards the north. Yep. And from the reverse angle looking south. And there is a bit of a hill coming down from this view. So if you were standing on the property, this is the upgraded rendering, and those charging boxes in green there are a little bit better than person high. So this may look deceptively small, but it's really not. There's about a 12-foot clearance ballpark below the wings of the canopy there for the spaces that would charge, and they would be wide enough to be ADA accessible. So it's a fairly simple project, 8 vehicle charging stalls. Electric vehicle charging facilities are a utility category, so they're actually not even a use that is controlled by the zoning code. They're exempted. So this is really easy from our perspective from a use, but because it's a change to the development plan of the PUD, it has to come to the commission for your approval as a minor change in final design approval. It has been reviewed by SPRC. They've gotten the comments back and are just in the process of finalizing that, but we didn't want to hold them up for 3 weeks, so we wanted to get them on today's agenda. So basically, it's a busy site. Lots of people are here. For electric vehicles, it makes a lot of sense to do charging while you're shopping or dining or doing those things when your car is otherwise idle. So placing these facilities at shopping venues makes a lot of sense. I am aware that DOT and Parking Authority are looking into how to better serve residential EV charging because not everybody has a driveway, not everybody has a parking garage. And so there's some challenges of if you don't have either of those, but you want an electric vehicle, how do you charge it? You have to use one of these stations. And the level 3 charging is the rapid, the faster version of charging, which this station will provide. With that, staff recommends approval. We'll note that you have an email in your file. We have a representative from Iona that is here, but the email from them outlines their outreach to the community and summarizes the conversations that they had addressing a couple of the questions that they had in an online meeting a few days ago. Happy to take questions.
Are there questions for Mr. Tiso?
Did the code change that? I thought that we still classified the electric charging as fuel station.
So there was an inclusion in the definition of fuel stations, which is, a traditional gas station, to include it, but it was there first as a utility. So if you have electric only, it's a utility use. But we wanted to make it clear that if you have a traditional gas station that has charging, or just belts and suspenders, really, it wasn't technically necessary, but we wanted to go through that branding change, I guess.
Great.
I have a micro question, then a macro question. We can hear from the applicant, certainly, if people have others. The micro question is the canopy purely for branding purposes, or does it have some function?
It does that, but it's also functional in that if you're charging and you don't want to get rained upon while you're negotiating the transaction and the plug-in, it'll cover you for those few minutes.
Okay.
And, when we were discussing it, they have other locations that don't have the canopy, but that's their preferred model for customer convenience.
And the macro question is do we have a map of charging station locations in Baltimore City?
I don't, and Part of the problem is because it's a utility function, it's not even a use approval, it's just a work permit. We would take some file spelunking to figure that out, even if we could, as to where all of them are. I'm not aware of a map.
Yeah, it's probably, this is not an immediate thing, but it's probably worth trying to figure out how to keep track of that, for a variety of purposes.
It has been,
As an electric car owner, there's like a bunch of apps in the app. I mean, you can
Yeah, okay.
filter by level 3 or
I may not be the,
Authority regulate them in the city?
not unless it's, I guess, on the right of way. I don't know. I'm not sure. I might be out of turn. I think that. So I don't even know if it's like, there are some like there's one on Linwood Avenue, for example.
Yeah.
That's a fast charger.
Yeah.
By Patterson Park, but I'm not sure if that's even.
So just so I could restate this for my own self and for the commission. So a electric charging station is a matter of not just right, but it is permitted anywhere and everywhere in the city as a utility, subject to site plan review, design review. I mean, what are the parameters that apply?
Sure. So we wanted this to be as widely as available as possible. So when we drafted the current zoning code, which goes all the way back to 2017, we put it in the utility category to make it as potentially common as telephone poles and switch boxes and things that are in the rights of way. Zoning does extend into the right of way. And so we wanted to make sure that it was clear that this was not going to be a use problem. So we tried to future-proof the code in that way. We also wanted it to be an incentive so that if a property owner wanted to provide charging on their property like you have today, it's not even a use question. The only reason this is here and didn't go straight to permits is because it happens to be in a planned unit development. So we're trying to make it as available as possible. Depending on how it gets put in this case, because it's a larger installation, and it is in a planned unit development, it did get site plan review. If you were just putting a couple of chargers in an existing garage, it would just be a work permit and you're done.
So if you bought a piece of residentially zoned land in a 100% residential district, and you wanted to create a standalone charging location, you could do that with no review.
Well, outside of building code and
Yeah.
technical reviews,
Yeah.
yes.
Including a canopy?
I believe so, with it being a utility use. Well, the canopy itself may be the issue, because then you get into signing and things like that, because this is commercially zoned. That didn't create a problem here.
Yeah.
So I can answer general questions generally, but if you just wanted to put in a bank of chargers, yeah, probably it would be fine.
Yeah.
And we wanted these to be available because we do know that a lot of our residences, and I know that DOT has been kicking this around because we've got folks that are running extension cords across the front yard and the sidewalks to plug their car in on the street. And like, what do you do? And I know I'm not an electric vehicle owner, though I'm looking at the Slate truck. That's pretty cool. But I understand that public available chargers like this are made available from a variety of independent, vendors. And so trying to figure out what's where, and if you have the app for that thing, it's just another layer of complexity.
Yeah.
So we're trying to make it as easy as we can.
I agree with all that, making it as easy as we can, and I'm not sure if the federal government has ended electric vehicle purchases or held them back for a time, et cetera, but obviously the future, so all I would say is, and I don't want to hold things up, is we probably need to, at some point, to take a pause and just look at that and make sure that we've got the right amount of regulation and the right amount of encouragement.
Yep.
Because I could imagine scenarios in which that would lead to an outcome that people will be like, how did that happen?
I think the distinction, like the level 3 as a user, is usually for like if you're either passing through commuter, because if you are owner, you live nearby, you use level 2. That's a slower charger. It's like it would take overnight.
Yeah.
That we have those throughout the city in some public parks and things, and I use the public park for that too. So I think most residential neighborhoods are on a busy road wouldn't do that, but I guess it's possible even here. I guess there's a world in which, like Walker might have an aspiring entrepreneur might do that, so it's possible.
Okay, well, just something to think about. The applicant is here, someone representing, would you like to come up?
Sure.
Give us your name with spelling and affiliation for the record, please?
Yes, sir. David Lane, I'm a design manager with IANA, DAVID, and I'm here to answer questions you have about our project, and thank you for the consideration. We do propose the canopy. It's not needed. We can remove it, but we did want to include it. It does offer protection from the elements. We just went through the heat wave. We know the sun. There's issues with people trying to get a glare on the screen in the full sun too to be able to see, to make the transaction. It just offers weather protection all season.
I think the commissioners have access to the email that the sort of community outreach email. Is there anything in it that you want to highlight for us about questions or concerns that were raised and responses? I don't mean to make you read the email, of course. I'm just wondering, any highlights?
Sure. We reached out to the community. In my role as design manager, I work directly with, we're in a landlord-tenant relationship, so I work directly with the landlord, so I don't have outreach to the other businesses in the center. That was a question that came up. I did follow up with the landlord. Their contact does meet with, and the tenants in Belvedere Square frequently had an email from the urgent care. That was one of the main concerns. They're on board early on. I think that message was from November. There's plenty of parking nearby on the on the road further for the urgent care center, so I don't believe it'll be a major impact. That was one of the main concerns. Security and homelessness, that's one thing that came up. I know there's some partnership with the York entity nearby. It'll just have to be something that's continually evaluated, but it's kind of out our control. We want our product to be attractive and inviting and successful, of course. We're a startup. We're young. We're trying to navigate through this time of, like you said, electric vehicle funding for the government and vehicle purchasing is down. So we're trying to do something that's a little bit challenging at the moment. So you have a goal to get these built as quickly as we can, and hope we can count Baltimore on board.
Your arrangement with the landlord is a lease? Are you just leasing that space and building it, or I'm just curious what the actual contractual arrangement is with the Belvedere Square landlord?
I don't get into all that. It kind of comes to me, and once it's agreed upon. There's different arrangements, but it's a long-term arrangement for sure.
And are you tell us just a moment about the company, and the broader purpose of the question is, are you looking at other sites in Baltimore to do a similar thing?
Possibly. Our goal in 2025 is to get 100 sites live across the U.S., and I've got a number of projects I'm coordinating, one here in Baltimore. I'm focusing on the Northeast. I've lived in D.C., lived in Jersey City, got family up and down the East Coast, so it makes sense for me to be here. But yeah, this is our first year really in deployment, and we have a goal to get kind of the frame, the skeleton, our cross-country network, where people, if they want to choose to use our network, they can get across country and ideally hit a number of our stations. I heard networks and apps were mentioned. We don't require that. It's simple as going up and using a credit card like a traditional gas station. So that's one benefit. You don't have to worry about apps or anything. We have partnerships with a lot of OEMs and vehicle manufacturers where if you'd like to, of course, you can come over and use that. But in the years to come, we if we're successful to fill out that skeleton and have even more centers. Whereabouts in Baltimore right now, I don't know. But yeah, certainly in the future, we look forward to have more stations.
Thank you. Okay. Questions from the commission for the applicant, or any remaining questions for staff?
I glanced at it, but I couldn't tell. Is solar on the canopy roof?
Not at the time, and that was one of the questions when I first came on it a number of months ago. But yeah, ideally, we'd like to do that too, and it's something we're looking at.
And then more of as a user pain point, he's been at some of these shopping center with like people queuing. It'd be nice. I don't know if you have a solution for like the queuing issue when there's like 20 cars waiting to use it and everyone's lined up and you can't tell who's in next. And so if there's a app or a way they can line up, that would be something I'd pass up to the higher ups.
Bet the coordinate with the landlord for that, true. Yeah, for charging for waiting.
Well, I'm saying more like there's 5 cars, every charger's full, and there's people, but everyone's parked in the parking space charging, but there's 10 or say 5 cars waiting to use the first available charger. The issue is when you can't tell who's next, like who has the next available queue or space to use, and that's.
I would say like a priority line.
Yeah.
That's something we can look into, certainly.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just one person.
Our chargers will get
most with a little power vested in me as a planning commissioner. Asking you to talk to.
You're fine. Yeah, I came out of general contracting too, so I like to figure out and plan too, and logistics as well. But our chargers being level 3 can get a vehicle up to 80% charge in 30 minutes or so. So at that point, most users, if they just need a quick charge, they can do that and be on their way. And if they have ability to charge at home, they can finish up. Or if they want to stay another hour, for the full hour rather, they will get, more of a full charge.
Okay. Are there any further questions? If there are no further questions, I'll take a motion to approve what I guess is a minor change and a final design approval within
Motion to
the
approve.
Belvedere Square PUD, which recommend to you the memo, which has one of the longest lists of PUD changes in the history of.
Mostly signage.
Mostly on signage, yes. So is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Once again, any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote, please.
John Bullock.
Approved.
Lee Horn.
Approve.
Claudia Jolin.
Approve.
Doug McCoach.
Approve.
Justin Williams. And John Laria.
Approve. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Last item on the agenda. Is there any other business for the commission today? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, aye? Aye. Adjourn. Thank you.